All right, all right. Welcome to the Fumble Forward podcast. This is for imperfect people who's trying to figure it out and get on the path truest to themselves. And I'm changing it up on y'all today. I am changing some content out. I was going to talk to y'all about self care. I've been doing that in the beginning of every episode, but instead, I want to share with you all what book I'm reading. So that's what we're going to do because I think they really speak to the episodes. They really speak to ways I'm getting insight into my life and different perspectives. And if nothing else, I hope it inspires you to read more. Okay. Read. I loved reading as a kid. I was all about them AR points. Okay. If you know, AR points. Shout out. And also, this episode is going to be about how your community probably sucks or did suck or you need to reevaluate. Yeah, I'm coming for y'all a little bit, but really it's a story about how my community was not really it and we needed to do a shift in. So I'm really going to get into the weeds of what my friendships look like pre 2020, what they look like post 2020, how social media really plays into what we see as relationships. And then I'm going to drop some golden nuggets on y'all on how you can have relationships in your life and friendships in your life that serve you and where you're going. And at least what's worked for me. And I'm hoping it could do the same for you. So we'll start with, okay. So my relationships 2020, especially like friendships, were very like rooted in history. We OGs. We go back to elementary school. We go back to middle school and band camp. We go back to dancing in high school. We go back to my first few years on campus at USF. Like it was very just like we had some type of history, and it was really shaped around geography as well. Like we were geographically close to each other. So that influenced a lot of our friendship. And yeah, I would say that was the main reason I would like fight for friendships, invest in friendships, etc. And that was kind of that. I didn't think too much outside of that. Unless I had like big seasons of life where I was moving, then I was like thinking about friends. But outside of that, I wasn't like consciously making an effort of like, oh, I should get new friends. Oh, I should have these kind of relationships. I didn't really do that. And then 2020 happened. And y'all already know the COVID pandemic, the rise of Black Lives Matter movement in the US, the killing of Black and brown people, the hate crimes against Asian people. I mean, it was just a lot to say the least for I feel like everybody to some capacity, right? Like it was just a lot going on. And I didn't even cover everything that was going on in 2020. So with all that, it really sparked these key questions for me as I looked around at the relationships that I had in my life, specifically my friendships. And maybe it sparked these conversations for you too. But it really started to get me to ask myself, okay, do you really like this relationship, or are you only holding on to it because you got history with that person? You got 5 years of relationship with that person. You got 10 years of relationship with that person. Is this relationship serving you for who you are now? Is this relationship serving you for where you want to go? Do these people walk a lifestyle that matches what you want or what you want to have in the future? Do they have values that align with your values? And really having that conversation of like, how do I feel when I'm with these people? How do I feel when I leave these people? And unfortunately, a lot of those questions made me immensely sad and really torn because people that I just kind of had around to have around, they were not really quite where I was trying to go. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It wasn't always that they did something wrong to me, but it was just like, you are the company you keep, right? So 2020 sparked a series of those conversations, and your girl did a change up, switch outfit of her friends and what that really means and look like. And I was able to switch my community that was very just like history driven, that was very geographical driven, to a community of friends and relationships that were flexible, that were adaptable, that were filled with more people on their faith walk journey, that were people that had empathy in their hearts and a desire to embrace life and embrace life fully. And that was a game changer in my overall way I showed up in life. And some of the ways that I got to that place, right, was doing some real intentional work, y'all. I would say the biggest thing was just deciding that's what I wanted. Like Akuya had a conversation with herself. We answered these questions. We looked at the results we got. Did we like it or not? No? Okay, let's change. And so your girl went into action mode and we started getting to work. And so I would say it definitely took a good, woo, at least a good year, so like 2021, before I felt like, okay, we doing something. And part of that was understanding people play different roles in my life depending on the season I'm in. I'll say it again. People play a different role in my life depending on the season I'm in. And that was huge because I would try so hard to keep people for each season I was. I was like, no, I can't leave her. She's been with me since da 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 da. She need to come to season da 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 da. And it's like, no, actually, Queen, it's okay for her to stay right in that season. Not even in a bad way, but just let her be. And once I realized that I didn't have to put on all that pressure to bring this person every time I was moving, it just took this pressure off of me where I could just be more focused on where is God calling me next and who I need to take with me. And it was adding unnecessary stress and just realizing that sometimes God brings people in your life for a season to serve you in that season. Maybe God just brought this friend to help you through graduate school, so you don't feel alone, so you don't feel like the only white person in your school or your class or whatever that is. Or God just brought this person in your life to help you on your journey of getting adjusted to Greek life. A lot of things are new. People are talking different things. People are wearing different things. And they were there to help you get acclimated. Whatever those different scenarios are, that took a lot of pressure off of me because I was just trying to do too much and it just wasn't serving me. Long story short, it was not serving me. And then that really helped me get to the understanding that you can have a friend that only plays one role in your life. And the examples are many, but some could be just like you got a gym friend and that's it. And y'all be going hard at the gym, but that's all. You ain't talking about family problems. You're not talking about the trips you got coming up, this and that. You're not talking about your new business idea. You're just at the gym. You're focusing on working out and putting your all. Or maybe your friend is just the friend that you talk about your favorite shows together. You just talk about whatever Netflix series, whatever Hulu this, and that's it. You don't really get into the weeds of other aspects of life. Maybe you have a friend where you only talk about video games and that's all you do. You just play video games with each other. Or maybe you have a friend where you only play basketball with each other. Or you have a friend where you know when it's Sunday where we're going because it's brunch time. Or you know it's Sunday and we're going to Bible study after. Like whatever that thing is. And that also helped me just, again, not feel this pressure that if I got this one friend, they need to be my brunch buddy, my church buddy, my workout buddy, and the list can go on and on and on. And then that way, I actually ended up growing my community because I had more friends that were tailored to very specific aspects of my life versus having one friend, two friends, or whatever that's trying to cover this big behind base of things that I need in my life. So that was a really huge, just like aha moment. And then also knowing that sometimes I had to force myself to go out. With COVID in 2020, it just made it so easy to have an excuse to be home. It made it so easy to find reasons not to go out, whether it was, oh, I don't want to catch COVID or whatever other diseases out there, or, oh, I don't want to spend money because when I step outside, then, all of a sudden you spent $200 and you're like, well, dadgum, if I stayed at home, I'd be $200 richer. But whatever that thing was, at least for me, I got so good at coming up with excuses for not going outside. And it really didn't serve me, honestly. In the long run, it didn't serve me in terms of feeling connected with people. And so I got to a point where I had to start forcing myself to go out. I had to start setting things in my calendar to look forward to and get my behind out. I had to start allowing my husband to be tough on me if he's noticed I've been home too much and I haven't hung out with a friend or hung out with family or whatever that was, that he could be like, when's the last time you've gone out, and check me. And I'll be like, because I know my behind has not been anywhere. And you limit yourself that way. And so that was something for me that honestly, I'm still working on that. I feel like I definitely have residue of 2020 where my innate reaction isn't to go out at the same level I used to. Because when I tell you, I used to always be out and about. Oh my goodness, out and about pre 2020. And it's just nowhere near that level anymore. And I'm also not discouraged by that. I just something that I constantly work on. But with that being said, when you go out, that means you're going to talk to people. And this was a huge one for me. And when I tell you, y'all, I did not realize how rusty and bad at this I was, which is talking to people first. I'm like, oh my gosh, Aquia, you are rusty. I didn't know what to say to people. I didn't know how to get the conversation flowing. I would get intimidated by people. It was just like, whoa, girl, where did these emotions come from? And literally, my husband would just be laughing at me because he's like, hello, welcome to a man's world where they're always trying to talk to some women and pursue this and that. And I was like, well, I'll give y'all your dues because your girl is rough. And in so many ways, it was kind of funny. He would like give me advice on like how to start conversation with people that you just met, and be able to have that conversation. And he would always push me. This is the other way that I've helped build community is go the distance, hit the home run, meaning get the number, set up the next hangout, get the social media handles. Don't let the great conversation just stay there in that moment, at that event, at that concert, at that church, whatever. Let it keep going. So in order to do that, you need to get their name, you need to get their phone number, you need to set up a coffee date, a walk date, a park date. You need to get their social media handles so you can comment on their posts and engage there and learn more about them. Like, let it keep going. Don't let it just land flat. And then you're like, oh, that was a nice conversation. And that was the end of that. No, 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 no. So doing all that, even though it was so much out of my comfort zone, helped me build my friendship group. Being willing to do different stuff. Shoot, I got on Bumble, y'all. Bumble BFF to make friends. We were just out here, okay? We were just out here, which is also what I talk about in episode 3 about putting yourself out there. I really go in on that and the benefits of that. But those are some of the strategies that I used to really transform my friendship group post 2020 to make it more fit to where I am in my life right now. And even I would say more importantly, where I wanted to go, because everyone was not cutting it. They just weren't. I say that even just like with grace, like they just were not. But two big things that I wanted to highlight on that really helped me get a community more that was in line with who I was and where I wanted to go was looking at social media differently. You know, it is so easy for us to feel like we got a connection with people because we follow them on social media, right? We think, oh, I've seen what they've done this whole weekend. They went to this brunch spot, they went to this concert, they walked their dog. But mind you, you have not interacted with said person at all. You didn't comment on anything. You maybe tap something, but you could be, tap 30 out of 500. So they didn't really see it. And it's a very passive relationship with people. And realizing what that is, that you have to make the intentional effort to communicate with people, even if it is on social media. Send DM messages, respond to Instagram stories, respond to TikToks and YouTube, comment, and just be engaged. Like, do the social part of social media, not passive media. It's social media, right? And so many of us have been doing passive media. And so just that was a shift for me to encourage myself to do the social part of social media and not be doing passive media because it wasn't serving me. It wasn't getting me to where I had decided I wanted to go. And so really looking at that part of the digital world, but also with our phones and messaging. So it's standard right now that you send a quick text, right? But maybe looking at, instead of telling this awesome story of this person I ran into and this and that and a text message, why don't I send a voice note? Now I'm gonna give a shout out to my girl Catherine because she really got me on voice notes, because I really didn't use voice notes like that. Like, it just wasn't something I used. But when she said, "Oh, this could be easier for us to communicate with sometimes, especially because she has a bunch of kids and life just be happening," I was like, "Okay, let's give this thing a go." When I tell you, I'll be about the voice notes. Y'all, it's just such a great way to tell a story. It adds so much character. It's so much more fun. And sometimes, honestly, it's just quicker and safer depending on where you're at when you're trying to get in contact with someone. So I am team voice messages, man, to just mix it up with some text messages to add a different context and level to a friendship. But also, I would go a step further and say send video messages. Now, I know voice messages are for iPhone. I don't know if Android has that. I don't have an Android. But if they do, take advantage and send voice messages as well. Like, one of my dear friends, Tyra, it was her birthday a few months back. And I was like, I was going to be send her a text message. I was like, I feel like this is not hitting how I wanted to. So I sent her a video of me saying just like all these kind things about her, all these things I wish well for her. And she was like so appreciative of that video message. And I felt like it also made me feel more connected and closer with her. And it just took it that one step further, right? That feels closer to a meetup in person. But I say all that to say is nothing can take away an in-person meetup. So even as we utilize technology, whether that's apps like Bumble BFF, social media, um, phone messages and stuff like that, meeting up in person is just untouched. And so I prioritize that in my relationships. When I can meet in person, I do my very best to make that happen. And so that's how I did it, y'all. That's how I found this incredible community that I have that's growing, was just deciding I want a better community. I don't want a community that sucks. I want a community that I can lean on, that I can be honest with, transparent with, that I can grow with, that can challenge me in a healthy way, that will make me lean more into my faith. All these things. And so it took a lot of action. It took a lot of the things that I shared with you all today, but working on them one by one, sometimes in parallel, I'm getting there. And the relationships I have right now are just so much better. So much better. And so if you've been in that place where you felt all this resistance, you felt all this change in 2020, but you didn't really do much with it because maybe you didn't really know how to do much with it, this is all the encouragement. These are all the starting tips and whatnot to get going on that journey, because when you change your community and the people around you, you change your life. It's just that simple. You change your life. But to wrap it all up, I'm going to share what I always do. What am I doing to build community? So, what I'm working on, y'all, is when I see an attribute of a friend, I am complimenting them in front of others. When I see an attribute I admire from a friend, I am complimenting them in front of others. And it's so funny because I started this before I started reading the 5 love languages and getting into words of affirmation. So that's just crazy how that's connected. But I've always been real free with compliments. It's just something that's come naturally to me, and I just want to shed that energy onto my friends, because the people that are in my circle have so many incredible attributes, whether it's they just always find the kindest words, whether their fashion sense is like immaculate, whether they just always find a way to keep up with the 50 million text message groups and things situated, whether they're just good at planning an event for friends to meet up, just making that known. I'm doing my very best to not just keep it in my head, but get it out and then get it out in front of others, so they also know this attribute is awesome. I think it's awesome, and I believe it's worth acknowledging. And so I thank you so much for listening to this one. This one is a dear one to me because, y'all, I've cried from losing friendships. I've cried from having to reevaluate friendships. And it's been so challenging and frustrating to like redefine friendships, even though I knew it was better for me and that friend. It was not easy. But I say all this to say, if you can get to an incredible place with your friendships, doing even just one of these things that I shared today, that is so awesome. And I want that for you. And I just thank you so much for listening to this episode. I encourage you to subscribe, share this with another friend that you know is on a journey of just kind of rebuilding their community, or in this season of trying to build friendships, whatever that is. I know so many of us adults feel like making friendships is more difficult, and in a lot of ways it is. It requires us to be way more intentional, but that is nothing that we cannot do. And with that, I hope you embrace everything you've learned here today, and that you use it to cultivate a life grounded in love and in your truest self. And until next time.